Dumelan Lekai, welcome to my channel one more time, man. I just wanted to welcome you guys, man. Let you know today I want to be talking about GMOs. Okay, if you guys are coming lately on my channel, I've been talking a lot about pregnancy, and I've somehow picked up that there are things called complications that are related to pregnancy. And so I started doing research or now what could be some of these things that contribute towards these so-called complications, or maybe just not that. Why is it that some women have a hard time getting pregnant or keeping a pregnancy once they get pregnant, which is part of the reason why some women end up having the miscarriage, right? And also, why is it that some men are starting to have a problem with having a high sperm count, which allows them to be able to reproduce and produce children? So I began to realize, Jorge, before we go to the end, let's go back to the beginning and see what could be some of the things that are causing this problem. So one of the things I started looking into is genetically modified organisms. Okay. Now, what I want you to understand about genetically modified organisms is that nature did not create. In a lab, experimenting with embryos, taking the seed inside this one, the seed inside that one, and combining them and creating a whole new uh, plant that never existed before. Things like cabbage, potatoes, carrots, corn, broccoli, cauliflower, these type of things, So we've been living on these things, but there's one particular one that we're living on so much more than others, which is corn, right? What I want you to understand about corn is that corn is injected with, especially because now they want to have a lot of yield. Like make sure ubuna a lot more than what they, ubuna as much as they have planted, right? The last thing they want is to lose their harvest because of insects. So what they've been trying to do, come up with, because corn is used basically for everything. I mean, if you got level the cornflakes or corn this, corn that, if you got level, most of the packaged food or canned food have some form of corn syrup inside, okay? Corn starch syrup, or it's made from corn itself. So corn oil, of course, yes. Then there are many products that are made from corn. So corn is no longer just like something that we use as a staple for pap for a lot of people, because in the evening, as a staple. But it's actually used for a whole lot more. So now, because it's used for a whole lot more, the farmers or the Monsanto company that owns this thing, when farmers started growing them and they started experiencing challenges, what they then did is these scientists started developing ways to kill the insects, because they were finding that the insects were taking too much of the harvest, and then they were not able to harvest a lot more. So what they did is they got the farmers to start using what they call BT toxin ready, okay, corn, which means what they do is bacha yona pelu eo ya oba yona peu eo ya bona ba hlola, and then ba hlabela ka tsona di BT toxin gen to ba bitsang Roundup Ready glyphosate, okay? So ba hlabela ka yona so that ge emela, and then the insects, the chushani tse ke di try go ja this harvest, tsona di peu tse go ba lona le heale, then so what happens is that the stomachs of these insects would develop holes, and then they would then be explode or die. Okay, this is just what happens. So now, because of that, we are facing the consequences of that. Okay, because you can imagine if the stomach lining, or they kill these insects, or even rats, because they've been doing research on rats as well, then you can understand that these things are also creating problems for us in our own bodies. Okay, so some of the health effects that come from eating genetically modified are things like allergies, which is, that one is a lot, okay? Leaky gut, immune system response, immune system issues, so your immune system is not functioning well, which means you're not able to fight off any infections or any health issues that you may have. It may trigger, in fact, your immune system to be attacked, okay? Digestive health issues, increased fatigue, increased brain fog, birth effects, which is which is what's basically contributing towards part of the reason why a lot of women start struggling with keeping a pregnancy once they're pregnant. Endocrine disruptors, which then offsets your hormones in the body. and they create a whole host of other problems: kidney, prostate, ovarian disease, obesity, birth abnormalities, which means children are born with all sorts of issues. Now, I believe that if re ka no tlogela go ja di-GMO and move more towards what is natural, what is actually meant to nourish and replenish and strengthen the body, we would find ourselves in a situation where we are able to actually have healthy bodies that are able to carry babies and be able to give the birth to these children without many of the complications that many women deal with. So things like overgrowth, things like, the child being too big, I guess, overgrowth, those are issues that are caused largely by what we eat, the hormones that are in the meat. I mean, I'll do another video and I'll just talk about all of the food and what they contain inside, basically. The food that you should stay away from. As you heard last week, I already started with the meat and the dairy, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole lot of food that people need to let go of so that they make it possible for their bodies to be able to get pregnant and to be able to deliver healthy babies. Okay, so the first thing I do advise you to do is let go of the GMOs, because the GMOs are injected with all sorts of toxins. Another thing is the GMOs cause allergens, immune system issues, digestive health issues, fatigue, brain fog, leaky gut. I mean, do you want to have these problems? I don't think so. Do I look like I want to have these problems? Hell no. Which is why I've made a decision that I will not be eating much clear GMO. If I do, it's going to be because I'm compromised or I'm not aware. Okay, but largely when I am aware, I do my best to avoid GMOs, and I do advise you to do that too, because I think that if we can do that, then we can eliminate 90% of our health problems, and we can find ourselves living healthy and being able to bring healthy children into the world who will not have any other health issues. What I'll do in the next video is I'll talk about what basically happens when we start eating GMO from the first to the second and to the third generation. The effects, the health effects of what happens when a whole generation, one passes GMO to the next and the next one to the next one, and what happens to those descendants, and what happens to their development and their ability to be able to give birth. You will be shocked. Stay tuned. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.